Hi everyone, my name is Ben Kaji and I'm your host for this next session, CMC Commissioner Conversations, Channeled 2020. Here we go. I'm very pleased to be joined by Nina Hahn. Nina is Senior Vice President, International Production and Development and Nickelodeon. You've got such a brilliant job title. What exactly does your role entail?
Yeah, it's a lot of letters and a lot of words for basically having sort of the best job ever, which is being able to work with, find, play with content producers, writers, animators, creators all around the world for content that we feel like needs to be told, stories that need to be created, and a global approach to content that we want to make, which flies the Nickelodeon flag.
Amazing. And you've got a show reel as well, right? To show some
Yeah, I'm just
of the
gonna
amazing
play
work.
you. We'll toss to a sizzle. I don't usually do sizzle reels because I often think they're just just like a speed date of content that doesn't really mean much to people. But I thought this one had a really incredible evocative feeling to it, which is something that is the DNA of the brand. Yes, we are some of the programs that we make, and a lot of these will be very familiar. You'll see the Dora and SpongeBob and all the shows that we do. But I think in general, you get a sense for the organized chaos of the brand and the feeling of just fun and feel good, which is a part of what is essential to a Nick show. So you can run that sizzle.
I'm ready. I am fired up. Did you say welcome to the Crystal Maze?
Today is a good day.
Deliciosos.
Do you like scary stories?
K is cancel. Make some noise. To the dome.
Green means go!
I'm ready to go. I got the go. I'm gonna tell you all about it. Watch me now.
Yeah, let's move!
Look out below.
I'm ready to play!
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Nina, do you want to talk any of that?
Say that again.
Would you like to talk through any of the sizzle?
No, I think it's fine if we want. We can just move on. That was just to give everyone a feeling for the depth and the breadth and the north, south, east, west of what we make, which cuts across every genre, every country, every region, every age group, which is quite exciting for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's worked well for Nickelodeon over the months?
Well, I think, I actually would rephrase the question probably what's worked well for Nickelodeon since its inception. And what's worked well for Nickelodeon since its inception is the real operating principle of being everywhere kids are. And to do that really takes, and to make it look effortless, actually takes a fair amount of effort on our part to make sure that we're doing a lot of research, both qualitative and quantitative, to make sure that we are understanding what kids want to see, where they want to see it, what trends are happening, and create content that we feel like speaks to what they want at that given period of time. And I think that makes us an incredibly authentic content maker, and really finds us in a place of reflecting the world in which a kid lives in at any given period in time. I think one of the shows that we're really pleased with and proud of, and have just in fact announced a season 2 pickup, is a show which is a first called It's Pony, which is a show that's the first show picked up by the network to be made wholly outside of the US, in the UK specifically, with Blue Zoo, and then broadcast around all 177 channels around the world. So it's the number 3 show on the air at the minute, and really represents quite a maverick position for an sort of 10-year-old show to be able to cross borders from the UK into the US. So we're excited about that. We're excited about The Adventures of Paddington, which is also rolling out globally and is one of the top 5 preschool shows on our air. We have rolled out Casa Grandes in 6 regions over the last short period of time, which is quite exciting. And it's a great show with a lot of really fun elements to it, including a diverse character in the in one of the roles with Down syndrome, so that speaks a little bit to the Game Changer report that we heard before, and showcasing some of that on our air. Blue's Clues is a big hit for us. Blue's Clues and You, which is the reboot that is launched in 5 countries over the last year. So it's been super busy for us, and with a lot of diverse content.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it there in terms of following trends. Obviously, as a global company and with the global pandemic, has that hugely affected the kind of that you're looking to create?
I mean, I think the upside of the downside is that creativity really is fueled by chaos and fueled by disruption. And the pandemic has obviously been very chaotic, very disruptive, very unsettling. But I think for creative people, it's actually been a bit of a win, because all of a sudden we're being asked to make things differently, find new ways to do things, think of new ways to make things, work with partnerships that you might not have worked with before, and get it all done quickly, and keep things, sort of content creation as usual. So to a certain degree, it's been a fantastic call to arms for us to be able to respond to that stuff, which is really good. In addition to that, as the kids, the biggest kids network in the world, and the one that really reflects what kids are today, it's our job and responsibility to make sure that we address how kids are understanding the pandemic, how they're coping with it. And they're scared and worried just like adults are, but very much through a kid's lens. So one of the ways in which we've done that is we've created a whole bunch of on-air promotion campaigns that make the messaging that kids need to know, that's quite serious messaging, but they wrap it up in a really fun and interesting way. In addition to that, we've wrapped that whole promo campaign up in a hashtag, which is hashtag Kids Together, which really speaks to you're not alone, you're with other kids. We can show you a quick video of one of the promos that we've aired, which sums it up nicely.
Did you know that just by staying home right now, you could actually be saving people's lives? Yeah! Staying home can help slow the spread of coronavirus and keep emergency rooms from overcrowding and running out of supplies they need to help people. It can protect people who are more at risk, like grandparents or people who are already sick. Some people have to go out and work right now, like people who work at hospitals, or supermarkets, or the post office, or delivery services. They have to go out for us. So let's stay home for them. We can do this together.
Thanks so much. I mean, that really kind of sums up what you were just talking about. And you spoke as well about diversity and inclusion and everyone belonging together. That's obviously so important to the Nickelodeon brand, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a cornerstone of the brand from day one, which is really nice to have, been in training about D&I for so long. And finally, we're at a moment where all of our training and all of our expertise in that area from a kid's perspective is finally being, really put us in a good place at a good time. And I think, to be authentic, to be truly authentic really means to reflect the world in which a kid lives in. And every year you have to look at that. Every month you have to look at that. Every day you have to look at that in order to make sure that you've got characters, content, both in front of the camera and behind the camera that really speak authentically to the voices that you've got, and really work to include kids and make sure they understand they all have a voice equal to each other. One of the things that's really interesting, and if we pull up, I don't know if I can talk over the slide or not, but we have something that we created back in June 1990, so a very long time ago, is what we call the Nickelodeon Bill of Rights, Declaration of Kids' Rights. And this was created so long ago. When you read through all of these principles, I won't take you through them, but maybe you'll have a minute to read while I'm talking, you'll see that they have completely stood the test of time. And not only are they true to kids, but they're true to human beings in general, and how and the way in which we should all interact and work and respect one another. And this declaration is something that we rolled on our air a few times at different points over the past month, and has been a real call to arms for everybody to understand that what was true in June 1990 is still very true today. And it's our responsibility to remind our kids that it starts with them. So this is a big part of it. In addition to them, we've done a lot of different content work. Alicia Keys hosting a Nick News program, and thousands of other things that I've speaking to raising awareness, having a minute of reflection, and really kind of celebrating the kids' perspective of D&I, which is, incredibly beautiful and incredibly clean.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I genuinely didn't know that that was written in 1990. That is new information
Yeah,
for me.
it's
I saw
amazing.
that.
We all had that. Yeah,
Yeah,
we all had that
I
aha, like wow.
yeah, I thought it was recent, but I did see it go out on the channel, and I just thought it was such, from a personal point of view, I thought it was so powerful and kind of,
Yeah,
like you say, authentic and genuine, but innovative and leading in terms of showing solidarity. So,
yeah.
yeah, I thought it was brilliant. In terms of your commissioning process, if I were a new producer or wanted to put my idea in front of you, how would that happen? Can you talk me through that process?
Sure. I think the first and only thing that I would ask is that you do your homework. And what that means really is that you really understand the brand and that your project, and you'll be able to answer the notion that your project, why your project should sit on Nickelodeon versus sit, on Disney or wherever else. I think it's a really important piece of homework. And to do that, you've really got to know what the brand is. And you have to be able to think like a programmer. So if you were to ask yourself what show would be the lead-in show to this show, so that tonally you have two shows back to back that feel like they fit, that would create, first of all, a lot of help for me when you come in and you pitch the idea. Because very often we get shows that just don't match what we're doing. Lovely shows, but they just don't match what we're doing. So I think helpful to the person pitching is to do that. Other than that, I think we take any great idea, and whether it's on a napkin, whether it's the script, whether it's early or it's middle stage, whether it's late stage, we have a way to get the project into a lane at any point in its trajectory. Obviously, we love to see things as early as possible because we want to be a partner with you and be able to kind of, I suppose, if you're a Swiss cheese, we want to kind of fill your holes a bit. And if there's a writer that you need, or you need a studio, or you want to have a certain cast attached, etc., we are able to bring that to you in terms of the machinery that comes through it. So, obviously, the brand, the shorthand for the brand is equal parts heart, fart, smart. With certainly a diversity card and a gender neutral card, and an authenticity and aspirational card alongside there as well. So if you feel like you have an idea that is very character driven and is a voice and a vision and a story that you really want to tell that matches some of those brand identifications, please bring it on. And whether it's live action or animation or preschool, we do them all.
Amazing. Okay. Well, my next question was what helps a proposal make the grade and get commissioned, but I think you've pretty much covered that right off.
I can give you, yeah, and we can also pull up the slide now that shows you where to send your projects if you want, because that's often another question I get, which is I have an idea, but where do I send it, and what's the right place? And we have a slide here which you can get your pen and phone and whatever, and copy down nick.animation.pitches@vimeo.com. You can also send your live action pitches here. It's just sort of the holding place for all the content that comes in. And if it's a strong idea and one that we feel like is going to be something that we want to take further or talk to you further about, we'll reach back out to you and go from there. And many of the shows that we have started this way, or have started on a napkin, or have started as a short 2-minute piece of animation. So, in fact, It's Pony started that way. So, it really is an authentic and true way to go, as long as you've kind of figured out the match with us.
I like the napkin reference because it just reminds me of The West Wing, which is my favorite show ever, and talking about Jed Bartlett running for president. So that's a good one for me. We've had a couple of questions in the Q&A section. So if you do want to submit a question, then please pop it on there. Gary says, when pitching, is meeting face-to-face and emailing pitch documents afterwards better than submitting work via a network's official website?
I think listen, right now we can't meet face-to-face, so unfortunately that isn't an option, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, I think if the idea is amazing, the idea is amazing. If somebody pitched you SpongeBob face-to-face, or they sent you a deck with SpongeBob, I mean, no matter how you saw SpongeBob, you would fall in love with it. It's one-liner, it's a simple idea, it's an incredibly diverse graphic style with a real voice and vision from the creator, who was a marine biologist. So, I mean, I think, for me, I'd rather take away the obstacles and should I do this and should I do that, and just say, doesn't matter, get it in. If it's a great idea, it will be found and heard.
Great. So the next question, I think you probably answered it there, but is, do you want short duration content? But I guess great content's great content, whether it's short or long form.
Yeah, and often
Okay,
you
so
don't know at the beginning. You often don't quite know what lane something will go in. And again, like, sometimes you'll find something, someone will pitch it in and they'll think it's long form, and we really feel like it's best as a series of shorts, as a development phase, for example, and then we find its legs for long form. Sometimes things come in their short form, and we feel like this is really great. This could definitely be an 11-minute story. So either or. And we have lots of different avenues to go down, whether it's linear or digital, or the nick.com. So there's a lot of ways to go.
amazing. The next question, I like this question. I think it's really strong. Are you looking for global appeal or localized content too?
Yeah, so that is a really good question. The gold medal for Nickelodeon is to make something once and to use it everywhere. And
Okay.
that really is something we love to do without watering down the characters, without making them, feel like there's a lot of a mile wide and an inch deep. So we want to avoid that. But the idea is to get a show like a SpongeBob or a Pony, where it's really got a touch point for every kid around the world. There are definitely also, for us, pathways forward, which is sort of a silver medal, which is we make something possibly ex-US, and then it goes back into the US afterwards. And that's allowing it to kind of percolate and grow in an audience outside the US before it falls back in there. And the third bronze medal for us is to make local content, which we also do. I think generally speaking, however, that notion of a global piece of content is really the best, something that can be everywhere and everyone's, but each individual region feels like it's theirs. And the only place this is quite different is in preschool, because preschool, we really try to be quite relevant to the region in which it airs. And so we dub all of the preschool into the language, even English, American English and British English. So we dub the preschool into British English, which is also
Wow.
English, but a different
Yeah,
English
yeah.
than my
Well, that was
terrible
great.
English.
Thank you. No, that was such a great answer. Thank you so much. I've just had a note from Angie, my producer, saying we'll pass unasked questions over to you later on. But thank you so much for joining us. It's
Sure.
been brilliant to see you and hear about all the fantastic work that you're doing. So thank you so much.
Sure.
So we've got Zia back, hopefully. I think the tech can keep in tabs on my WhatsApp notifications. Zia, you're there.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry,
Now,
guys. It's like the joys of working remotely. Occasionally things go a little bit awry, but we're back.
it makes it interesting. So it's all good.
Exactly.
Zia, you're senior acquisitions manager at for Kids at Warner Media. What exactly does that mean? It's such a big job spec.
I mean, broadly speaking, what it means is it's kind of my role and my responsibility to aid our programming teams in the local regions across EMEA to kind of find and select, the best content for our channels across Europe and Middle East and Africa. So it's kind of the joy of the job for me.
I was going to ask you, how's it been? This is going totally off script, so I apologise. But how's it been working from home for the last few months, other than obviously the cutting out?
To be honest, it's been really interesting. I think, us as a business, I think has really shown how we're able to, to work so efficiently and so flexibly. And I think as an industry and as human beings, I think it's been such a trying and sort of testing time for everyone. And it's really amazing to see how everyone is rallying together and, able to support one another and still able to, complete business as usual, really.
Yeah. Do you think it clearly has, but how has it affected your channel strategy?
I mean, obviously the biggest change has been kids being at home and, not elsewhere. So I think for us, the impacts that had was obviously changing the kind of channel strategy, the programming. So we rolled out a summer schedule, a lot earlier than we would have normally. And that has been our normal that we have reverted to during this period. I think, an amazing thing that we have experienced is the flexibility and kind of the nature of being agile in terms of, the productions we're working on in-house, as well as the third parties that we obviously, acquire content from. It's been really impressive to see how they're adapting. They've moved their entire studio remotely and still been able to deliver assets. And I think that's just, a real real achievement that we should be, really proud of and really impressed with, as a business and as an industry. But I mean, in terms of my remit specifically, nothing's really changed. I'm as busy as ever, and still actively looking for great shows, to entertain our audiences.
Amazing. I mean, we're going to have a little look at a show reel in a sec, I think. But can you talk a little bit about what's worked well on the channel over the last couple of years, particularly in the last 12 months?
Yeah, I mean, the reel will certainly give you a flavour for the channels here in the UK. But I mean, broadly speaking, what works for us across Cartoon Network in the UK, but obviously beyond that as well, is are our classics, the shows we get from the studios. For Cartoon Network, shows like Ben 10, Adventure Time, are classics that people know of. But we've in recent years had some new additions to that slate. So we've had We Bare Bears, things like Craig of the Creek, which has been a really lovely new addition, encouraging lots of outdoor play and has some really brilliant themes of friendship that I think a lot of kids will really resonate with. And then I think for Boomerang, it shows that we have from Warner Brothers, things like Tom and Jerry and Scooby and Looney Tunes, complemented with the kind of fresh titles that we bring with acquisitions. So things like Taffy or Mighty Mike or Quizzy and the Lemmings, which are all European properties that we have on our channels internationally, which is really exciting. And then you have your standout kind of UK classics, which of course I couldn't come to CMC and not talk about. Things like Apple and Onion, which of course comes from the helm of a British creator, George Gendy, who I think the sensibilities of the humour that's in Apple and Onion, I think resonate globally, but in particular here in the UK, I think Apple and Onion has a very special place in our hearts, and of course the hearts of our viewers as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Should we take a look at the reel?
Why not? Please play the reel.
Okay, here we go.
We're going to be right on time.
Do I have time to go to the toilet?
No.
Then let's go!
Woo! Hey, family!
Prepare to have your minds blown!
I think I speak for everyone here when I say that sounds disgusting. Please show it to us right now.
You see, the perfect adventure has 4 key elements.
It's hero time!
I agree.
You've got yourself a deal.
Deal.
Yes! Yes! And...
Time for my favorite thing to watch on TV.
Scooby, Scooby, Scooby!
And action!
Prepare for the air, Jet! Here I go!
This is going to be brilliant! I can't wait!
All clear! Pull us up now!
Oh, hey there, matey.
I want just to be
Thundercats! How? Monster!
We got a stupid love, 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 oh. I'm your life.
What will they think of next?
Nice. I particularly enjoyed the beginning of that. I mean, have I got time to go to the toilet or not? Probably not.
Probably not.
Yeah. It gives such a good indication of the kind of breadth of shows. And obviously there's loads of exciting stuff on the horizon too, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're really excited about a new show launch we've got coming up this Q4. It comes from the same team behind the Amazing World of Gumball, which of course is another staple of us at Warner Media. So I mean, it's certainly really exciting, and for us, Elliot from Earth, the show that we are premiering later this year in the UK, is a UK production. And, it's about a 10-year-old boy called Elliot and his mum, Frankie, who embark on an kind of an unexpected journey across the universe. And so, throughout that journey, that adventure, they'll encounter lots of amazing aliens, some surprising species, and some cosmic creatures, along the way. And Elliot, meets a new best friend who, of course, happens to be a dinosaur called Mo. And, joins them on, their adventures where, nothing is ever normal. But, who wants to be normal anyway? So, we're really excited for Elliot. It's 2011's coming, later this year, like I said. And we've actually got a really cheeky little sneak kind of peek for you all who have joined today. So can we roll the clip, please?
I think that went well.
Ow, 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 ow.
Silence, you fools!
Nobody was talking.
I said silence!
Today, I was hoping to pit you against each other in a series of
savage trials!
But apparently old-fashioned ideas like competition and impaling aren't welcome in schools anymore. How do they expect me to teach with all this red tape? Anyway, instead I've prepared a
surprise test!
The test will take the form of a poem, and if it displeases me, you'll be
blasted into the heart of the nearest sun!
A surprise test? In our condition? We should tell him we can't do it.
Absolutely no excuses!
I've got a dental appointment in 20 minutes.
Do you have a note?
Yes.
Then it's allowed. But that was the only excuse! The rest of you fools, let the test commence! Gosh darn piece of knock-up garbage!
Nice. To be fair, having a dentist appointment is always a really good excuse.
As long as you've got a note.
Yeah, I haven't got one, so I'm struggling. Obviously, really exciting that's coming out. When did you say it premieres?
So it's going to premiere in the UK later this year. So keep your eyes peeled.
Cool, yeah, and keep across your social media, I guess, because there'll be a big announcements on there of when it's gonna air. I'm sure so many of the delegates watching will want to know if there are any kind of gaps on the channel and the kind of content that you might be looking for in the future. Can you give any kind of steer, if you like, on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I would say my focus is in terms of the role I have looking after EMEA, we're certainly really kind of targeted towards our Boomerang channel and servicing content for that audience. So, as a reminder for those of you in the audience who may not be as familiar, Boomerang targets a kind of 4 to 7 year old audience. It's about pure fun, pure laughter. We're looking for animation only, but things that we feel kind of resonate with the audience, things that allow them to escape, that they can watch with their brothers, sisters, that, keep them kind of just allowed to be kids and to, be encouraged to do so. I think, that's something that's really important in the day and age that we live in, is to ensure that kids can still be playful and still go on adventures and use their imagination and have fun and, not to encourage them to grow up too quickly. Boomerang for us is certainly the staple that we're kind of focused on from a kind of EMEA perspective. Obviously, we always look for great ideas, regardless of where they come from. We love, creator-led stories with really engaging and strong, powerful characters that we feel, are diverse enough in terms of the worlds that they operate within, the range of characters that they represent, and of course, in order to serve those stories to our viewers and to our fans, we need to start from the idea, right? And that's what we are really hopeful to continue getting lots of, is amazing creator-led story ideas from all over. So definitely make sure if you have one of those, that you get in touch with us. And of course, for Cartoonito in the UK specifically, we're also always looking for lovely preschool focused ideas for shows that we feel reflect the kind of broader preschool target, but not in a kind of super educational way. We prefer to have series for us that appeal to that 3 to 5 audience, and that maybe have some softer learnings, but more through play than through anything too directly educational or didactic in terms of the tone. So it's much more about adventure and imagination and, of course, friendship.
Yeah, I mean, you've touched on it there. I know Nina spoke about it, and obviously we had towards the beginning talking about diversity and an increase in diversity both on and off screen. You responded as an organisation? Has there been a big focus and push on that recently?
Sorry, Ben, you broke up a little bit, but I think I got the question. I mean, in terms of what Cartoon Network is doing, I mean, our programming is always at the heart of it about humour and about inclusiveness, and obviously we encourage, you know, all kinds of stories to be told in order to have a broad variety of series across our network, to ensure that our fans and our audience do really feel that there are characters within our animations that do reflect them in some way and that resonate with them. So I think, you know, it's great for us that we have, you know, shows within our wheelhouse that can reflect diversity of our audience in terms of, you know, the stories they have, the characters that operate within those. So Steven Universe, Craig of the Creek, Victor and Valentino, you know, the Powerpuff Girls, they certainly have elements of diversity within them. But I think there's absolutely more we can do, and there's more we should be doing to address this. And I think that's us as a business, but also that's the industry as a whole. And I think it's really impressive, and you know, it's a really powerful time to be within the media industry right now, especially with change makers like Lucy speaking out so, you know, importantly about you know, the diversity within the business, and as well as, you know, the other change makers that have already spoken within this conference. So I think it's a really exciting time, and I personally am really excited to see the kind of content that's, you know, starts to get greenlit as a result of all of these conversations, all of this listening, you know, moving forward.
Yeah, that's a brilliant answer. Thank you so much. And sorry if my wife for some reason is misbehaving. You know, you can't predict this stuff. If you want to ask a question, then you can do through the Q&A tab. We've actually got Nina around as well. She's waiting in the wings, so we can put questions to Nina and to Zia. Zia, just a couple more questions for you at this point. What's your commissioning process? What does that look like? You know, if I wanted to get something commissioned, or we've got delegates here who might be thinking they want to put something to you, can you talk us through that process?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, our commissioning process is very fluid. It's very open. So we don't have, you know, specific timings where we operate in terms of calling out, you know, for pitches for tender, or have strict opening hours or anything like that. We are open 24/7, you know, 365 days of the year. So, you know, for us, the best way to get in touch is to, you know, send us an email and introduce yourself and introduce your idea when you're ready. So when you feel that you have, you know, exposed yourself enough to our networks and know what is already on our slate, and where you feel maybe that your IP could complement what we're already able to do ourselves. You know, that's one way. You can also, you know, outside of this COVID situation, meet us at markets. We do attend, you know, a lot of the major markets. And of course, you know, we do have this lovely modern technology that most of the time works really well for us. So we are able to, and are continuing to, across everything, you know, right now take lots of virtual pitches. So that's absolutely an option and something that we're really open to doing. So, you know, it's really up to the creators out there, and, you know, writers and producers and storytellers to come to us with their, you know, their strong ideas, their characters, their worlds, and, you know, invite us to share that passion with them, basically. So I think we have a slide as well that has some email addresses on for those of the delegates who maybe don't have our contact details. So obviously up top, Cecilia Pearson, so she will look after any kind of development or co-production ideas that you guys might have. And then, of course, for you know, for any kind of early projects, any acquisitions, do please feel free to reach out to me directly, and we can absolutely start a conversation.
Do you know what you've got in there? Just as I was about to say, how do producers contact you? So you were straight there, and you introed your show before I did. If they don't need me, I can run for that toilet break. You've been fine. We've got quite a few.
Well.
Yeah, it's a double team. Yeah, it works. We've got quite a few questions coming in. So if anyone is watching and does want to fire a question across, then please do get in touch. Bear with me a sec while I've got multiple tabs open. So I'm just going to have a little look through and ask some questions, if that's okay with you, Zia. You might have to help me just by filling for like 10 seconds while I find one for you.
Oh, no, go ahead. I think that maybe the one thing that I didn't speak to, too much, but I would just like to reiterate, I've definitely said in previous years, and I'll say again, a great idea can come from anywhere. And I think it's really important that, as creators, that you guys are thinking about the way in which our audience are consuming content right now. They obviously are so digitally savvy and consuming on so many different devices. And I think it's really important that the concepts that we get pitched reflect that. So, if your show maybe starts off as a short form IP, that doesn't mean that it can't transfer or translate into a long form, idea. I mean, the Valiant Quest of, Prince Ivanhoe, for example, started as short form for us, and we recently announced the green light to take it to long form. So that's certainly an option and something that we're able to do. So I'd certainly encourage that, the delegates think about that. I hope that was some good filling for you.
Yeah, it was a dream. I managed to reply to a couple of texts all about this and read the emails. So it was great. I'm multitasking. So a question from Claire. She says, are there teams to talk to share ideas with and then get feedback on ideas?
So, broadly speaking, me and my team, what I would do is Claire, if you have an idea that you feel could be for us and you'd like to kind of test the water, please do, send me an email after this and, introduce yourself and share any materials, like I said, that you are happy to share with us. And of course, me and my team will, we review every pitch that we get sent. So, bear with us. It can take a little bit of time, but we really do endeavour to go through every single IP and really assess it for our needs, but also, try and give some constructive feedback, as and when we're able to.
Amazing. Thank you very much. There are a couple of questions about HBO Max. So the first is, do you work with HBO Max?
So, of course, we definitely liaise with our colleagues over at HBO Max, and it's really exciting, what they're doing at the moment. The launch in May was, a really pivotal time for the company, and we're really excited, for LATAM coming next.
Brilliant. There's a question about that as well. Now, so it says, when HBO Max launches internationally, is it likely you'll be acquiring shows for both linear and SVOD, or will the platforms be operating separately?
Oh, that is an interesting question. I mean, what I would say is I'm probably not the best person to be placed to answer that right now. So I can speak to acquisitions and content. And of course, our doors are always open and we're always looking for great ideas and for great shows. And I think that is, regardless of the platform that they're going to be seen on.
Brilliant. Thank you. A few people have asked for the slide again, if that's possible, the tech guys who are looking after this, for the email addresses, so people can get in touch with both Nina and Zia. So if you're able to do that, that will be brilliant. I think we've got, this is particularly for Nina, but Zia, I'm gonna ask, what is there in shows building on IP like books?
Oh, I'm sorry, Ben, the connection broke up a little bit there. I only heard the end of it.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
There's a question here about the level of interest in showing existing IP like books. Is there in that kind of content?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say that we obviously, like I said, a great idea can come from anywhere. As Nina mentioned, it can be on a napkin, it can be a script, it can be a book, it can be a game. I think ultimately it's really at the heart of it. It's about really strong, engaging characters, a great story, and for us, a really interesting visual display and aesthetic. So I think absolutely, a new IP or an existing one is certainly something that we'd be open to looking at.
Amazing, thank you much. I think we've got Nina as well. I'm just going to bring Nina in if that's possible, because we've had a couple of questions. Hi. So a question here from Nigel. He says, "Hi Ben, hi Nina. Do you invest in development if it's something that you like?"
I'm sorry, do you invest in development if it's something we like?
If it's an idea that you like, do you invest in development?
Yes, 100%. I think that is the whole, that is the best way to go forward. If there's an idea that we really feel like has legs and is a really strong intersection between the story and vision and voice that you have as the creator, and how that matches the brand voice and vision of what we're trying to do as a network, then that is a great way to start dating.
Yeah, amazing. And a question from Alex Washington. Alex says, "Does Nickelodeon still have a record label, and is a music tie-in a plus when pitching ideas?"
So, music is a really interesting, it's an interesting, good thing, problem to have when you're talking about international content. One of the things to always think about when you're developing content with a music thread to it in any way, shape, or form, which is oftentimes more relevant in the preschool space than it is in the big Nick space. What it also means is dubbing. And, you've got to think about all the channels have to dub everything that you do into 177 channel, into the property that you're making into 177 channels around the world. And there's a big cost that's associated with it. And when you add on top of that a musical element, that's yet another element to try and think about how they're going to do all the dubbing, plus all the dubbing across all the songs, plus all the clearances across the songs. So it has to be a kind of a project that we feel like we could get behind globally in full throttle. And we've done it in lots of different ways across the years. But again, for it to be something really strong and really musically driven, we have to feel like there's a budget and there's a creative push behind it that can be supportive of it going globally.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Thank you so much. If anyone does want to ask a couple of quick questions, then we've got a couple of minutes, so please fire them across in the Q&A. And also, there's a speed meeting session that I think Zia is going to be in at 3:30. So if you are signed up to that, then make sure you log on in plenty of time because she's going to be around for that. We've had another question in. If we have a pitch document, Nina, I think this is for you. If we have a pitch document, do we just send that over in an email? How does this work with solicited and unsolicited issues is the question.
Yeah, all of that is in when you send it over to that link that was up on the slide before. All of that is in the space, and information is provided on what you have to sign off on and all that kind of stuff, so as to make it appropriate and allowable for us to review.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think we've got Zia there as well. We might bring Zia back in just so I can thank you both so much for being involved today. Hi, we're all here and there are no tech issues. That's lovely. Thank you so much for your time and for answering the questions. I'm sure that so many people will be getting in touch. There are the slides with the email addresses available for submitting ideas and content. But I just want to say from me, thank you very much for being involved. And Zia, I think you're in the session at 3:30. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, great. Nina, I don't think you're in that one, are you?
No, unfortunately, I'm not able to attend.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been absolutely brilliant speaking to you both. And thank you on behalf of myself and all of the delegates even for your time this afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for your questions.
No worries. Guys, thank you so much for being involved. I'm going to look down at my notes again because I've got a big sign off here. It says, thinking about the international nature of the content on both of these networks, there are some useful videos in the Focus On strand in the Video On Demand library. I actually had a look at that yesterday. It's really good. There's loads of brilliant content in there. And they offer snapshots of working with Canada, China, and in Ireland as well. They're worth a look for anyone interested in international co-production or selling services like writing into these markets. Now, if you stood for a speed meeting, please make sure that you're on time. As we just said, oh, look, there's a bar magic. It's up there. Zia is going to be in there from 3:30 till 4:30. There are one-to-one meetings in there, so they're pre-booked only. But please, if you've got a booking, please make sure that you're there on time. Next up here at 4 p.m. is the ever popular Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is. Great name. 4 dragons, 3 pitches. It's a fascinating insight into the minds of makers and them all. And I know I touched on this earlier when I was filling, but at 8 p.m. on Zoom, it's karaoke night. So please do get your party outfits on. I can assure you that nobody wants to hear me sing, and you will know that if you've ever watched CBeebies, because it really is not my bag. But I do my best. For now, though, that's all we've got time for. Thank you so much again to Zia and Nina, and thank you for being involved. I will hopefully see you very soon. Thanks so much.